Hey, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. We should be streaming about now and recording. I'm going to make us go big on screen. Look at that.
Oh, there we go.
We're like live in Technicolor.
Looking fantastic.
Looking fantastic. I'm Mike Sokol and Johnny Singleton over here from Southwire. And we're going to be starting our little communique about surge protectors in just a minute or two. And if any of you guys, now remember, you can watch this anytime later. So this will be, it will live on forever.
Oh,
forever.
No. I should have dressed up a little more.
Should have dressed up.
Yeah.
You, the man in black.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
My wife would make fun of me because I would do, rock and roll stuff. We had to wear black.
Well, I mean, that was cool.
That was, well, it's because you're not supposed to be the star on the, and we would find guys if they wore white socks. Because that's the last thing you want to see is a guy all dressed in black moving microphones across the stage. You could just see the white socks moving on. So it's actually is a thing. I taught this in school. I could take grade. I could reduce their grade if they showed up to do a gig that they weren't all in tech black.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah. Okay, well, everybody, I think we're getting ready to roll here. So I'm Mike Sokol from RVelectricity. I'm at Hershey all week. And I've invited Johnny Singleton. Would you like to introduce yourself and say what the heck you do?
Yeah, so I've worked with Southwire since 2018. I'm the territory rep in the state of Texas, but I also cover Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. But I've been coming here to the Hershey show for the past 5 years. So very familiar with this show. Love coming to the retail shows to, chat with the people who actually use our products.
Oh, yeah. And I love teaching this stuff because I find that the more questions people ask me, that gives me new things to write about. I've been doing electricity for 50 odd years. I've been a seminar instructor for 30 years, a technology writer for 40 years. I've done this stuff like forever. But I really like meeting people and finding out what you need. And I have done a lot of testing on surge protectors. And so we're going to talk a little bit about, the types of ones that exist. What they do, how they work, and why you really need them. Because, well, power is kind of crappy out there in cases. Okay, so Johnny, you first off, hold up your lightning bolt. I know, it's not quite like Thor with the big hammer and the lightning. I know it was a little bit of a letdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, you don't get the same effect. That's for
same
sure.
effect. So this is the low budget lightning bolt effect, yeah. Right? But still, I got a couple of those yesterday. So tell me, what exactly is a surge protector?
So a surge protector, it's exactly what it says. It's protecting you against surges. Think about in your home, every television you have probably is plugged into a surge protector. It's protecting that product from, a surge of electricity coming in and damaging what you spent money on.
Right.
So imagine now for an RV, that's a lot of money you're spending that in a lot of electronics that you need to protect.
So where do these surges come from?
They can come from a litany of things, but they come directly from that pedestal.
Okay.
So that's why we plug in, because campground power is not, consistent across the board.
Right. And I know I actually had, and I've seen this a couple of times, nearby lightning strikes cause this.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen 2 of these happen in my own house. One happened in the field 100 yards across from me, and I had a power strip with a MOV device, a little basic one, on my refrigerator downstairs. And I kind of heard a lightning crack and saw this out in the field. Next morning, my wife goes, refrigerator's off downstairs. I go down and look, and I can't reset the circuit breaker on the surge strip. I take it apart, the little MOV device, and there's got a hole blown through it.
Open, yep.
But guess what? It protected the refrigerator.
Well, and so it did its job.
It did its job. The other one that I saw just last year, my wife and I were enjoying, we had our side porch and our little driveways, 10 feet away from that, to come around the house. And I'm sitting there eating, I'm asking king crab claws. My wife's a fabulous cook. We're sitting there and talking. She goes, wow, it looks like a storm. I saw a lightning bolt come and hit the driveway 10 feet away from me, just did a little crack. And then what it did was it took out my my cable modem. It took out a TV. It didn't hurt any of my computers. Guess what? I had computers. I've got surge protectors and UPSs and everything on all my computers. Protected all of that stuff. The stuff that I didn't have any surge protection on was gone. So lost, and but I got to get new modems. I got to buy new stuff. But you probably don't get excited to buy new stuff. But the fact of the matter is, we now have surge protection everywhere.
Oh yeah,
on any of this stuff.
it's very important.
It's very important because I was without internet for like 2 days.
Well, and so that's just your home. Imagine
That's just your home.
being camping and being stranded,
Yeah.
without having your essentials. And so at the end of the day, it's just a cheap insurance policy.
It really, really is. So, okay. So what else can you tell us about this? So you've got a couple different versions of surge protectors,
We do.
right? And tell us, what the basic functionality of them would be.
Yeah. So we start out. We have a little handy chart here, actually. Don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah,
too
they
well.
can see it.
But yeah, so we start out with our surge only devices. That's what we're going to call like our entry level. We have them available for 30 amp RVs and obviously 50 amp as well. But so what those do is those are going to just protect you against surges coming in. They have diagnostic abilities. So there's little lights on there that'll light up, letting you know if you're having some what we like to call bad power coming through.
Right.
But it can't physically disengage that power. So these again are just like a surge protector for your television at your home.
Right. And but they do an important thing, and that is they help get those spikes. Any of you guys have been in my class, I show a picture of a voltage spike that can go up a couple of thousand volts.
Yeah.
So they help clamp that.
Yep.
So what else? So do they wear out after a while?
They can. I mean, so the fact is, there's a common misconception that surge devices, especially for RVs, are one and done.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true. It could be true. Like if a lightning strike were to hit, it could have a strong enough jolt to come through and knock out the surge. But it's not an end all be all. We have some surge devices out there that have been on the market for over 7 to 10 years that are still out there kicking. And that's just the basic model as well.
Right.
And with Southwire, what's great about Southwire is all of our units, whether it's the entry level or what we're going to talk about a little bit later, the full electric protection, are able to withstand 100 individual 6,000 volt surges without loss of function or feature. So that's more than 5 times industry standard.
Yeah. And that's the key with this stuff. Bad stuff happens. You want it to happen to these things. You don't want it to make it all the way into your RV. So how do you know when they're worn out?
Well, when you go to plug in, there'll be a little light that shows up that'll say that it'll just let you know that the surge capability is gone, and it's just not going to work.
I guess the light is on. It says it's okay.
Yeah.
The light is off.
Yeah.
No good.
No good.
No good. Right. And now, is there a warranty on these? What happens if you spike this thing enough that it dies? What do they do for replacement?
So for Southwire, we have a lifetime warranty with connected equipment coverage. So let's say we let in that bad power that we tell you we don't let in, and it damages anything on board your coach. Not only are we going to replace the unit, but we're also going to cut a check for any damage incurred. I mean, that's so like, let's say your computers, you got hooked up, your podcasting equipment here, you got hooked up. We're going to cut you a check for that, and also any labor you may have incurred. And now that is only if there is an issue with our unit.
Right.
If a surge comes through and it's just enough that it took out all the surge and it's not viable anymore, then the product did its job, and we do have to replace that.
Right. Okay. So now what's the price point on these? Now they're available at the show, right?
Yeah.
You've got stuff over here. What, a Campers Inn?
Yep. We're in a Campers Inn booth here at the Hershey.
Down on the opposite side of where we are here.
Yep, that's correct.
Price point on the basic ones.
So they're actually doing some pretty good pricing. So generally out in the field, you're going to find our entry levels between anywhere from, I would say, $60 to $80.
Right.
And that's actually pretty much in line with what we have here at the show as well. Then step up in product offerings, obviously step up in prices.
Right.
Up into where our full protection units, you can get them for a 50 amp model. You're looking at anywhere between $375 to about $450.
Yeah. So I quote 400-ish.
Yeah.
Most of the time for that. And generally for the simple ones, I should say the spike only one is somewhere in the $100-ish dollar kind of range.
Generally.
I'm really bad with remembering that stuff because I don't have to buy this. People ship me boatloads of these things to test.
You test them enough, and you know you get our name out there.
I have them everywhere. Yeah. I mean, I have buckets and buckets of these things from every brand out there, and everyone. And I keep telling people, I said, I can't guarantee that I'm going to review anything. I got too much to do because I got to be like at Hershey, and stuff like that.
Yeah, you
right?
got to be out here with the people.
Got to be out here with
the people.
Right. Yeah. So now, what's our next step up from this?
Yeah, so our next step up we like to call the Surge Plus. And the Surge Plus, we do have 4 SKUs in that product category. We have the 44280, which is a 30 amp model,
right?
And then the step up from that is going to be the 44290, which is the 50 amp. Ahead of that, we have 2 models that are the exact same thing, but to be able to be UL listed up in Canada, we had to put a fancy waterproof cover.
Oh, that's right. They worry about that stuff.
Yeah, so that's really the only difference between those two is just that. And also, this line, the Surge Plus, has thermal indication. Will let you know, if you got stuff heating up there at that pedestal to where you need to disengage. To where the entry level Surge, the 44260 and 44270, don't have that.
Well, I've seen the American version. I've opened it up and it looks like they've got a thermocouple inside of the plug, but it doesn't go anywhere for the American version.
No.
Wow, that answers that, because I wonder why in the world would they bother with something like that?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Unless they're going to use it for something.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do these guys do then that the other ones don't do?
Well, yeah, so like I said, the main thing is the thermal indication there. But what's also nice about the next step up is that there is an integrated lock ring. So we like to say, a lock ring like this will keep honest people honest.
Right.
And in campgrounds, as many years as I've been doing this show and talking with people who use our product, I've never had somebody come up to me and actually say that while their surge protector was locked up, that it was stolen.
Right.
So
yeah, thieves tend to do easy opportunity
for sure
kind of stuff.
Definitely. And people in campgrounds seem to be looking out for each other, which is quite nice.
It's almost like the band of brothers.
Yeah.
It really is. And so yeah, make friends with everyone around you and they will let you know
definitely
what's going on. Okay, great.
Definitely.
Okay, so what kind of things do they detect beyond the most basic MOV based units?
Yeah, so open ground, open neutral, reverse polarity, but mainly the big thing is high and low voltage detection. That's the number one killer in campgrounds, as you very well know, is high and low voltage.
Right.
And I mean, you're talking about with electronics, low voltage over time will just deteriorate everything on board. And I mean, chances are, if you've had to buy a new AC,
air conditioners are. I did a study for NEC, National Electrical Code Commission, these guys a couple of years ago, and it was basically on what happens to air conditioners at different voltages.
Yep.
And they start getting hot. And, if you start trying to run that thing when it gets down to 100 volts, bad things are going to happen. So what happens when you get down to, say, 104 volts with one of these?
It's going to, so with the surge only devices, it'll let you know, hey, you need to disengage power.
Right.
It cannot physically do it because these are just surge only. These are surge only with diagnostics.
Right. But no actual relay that can disconnect you for the baby ones.
Nope.
Right.
That's correct.
But big boys.
Oh, the big boys, the high dollar, the Cadillacs, like we call them, the full electrical protection units. Those are just truly a set it and forget it system. Once you're plugged in, as long as you have power going on in your coach, know that you have good clean power coming in, and that's what's very important.
Right. And so now let's just review a couple of things. What happens if you have an open ground? And if you don't disconnect, this is when you can develop a hot skin condition.
Yes.
If you have any other leakages, the guys, you didn't see this. Did you see a big bright blinding flash from up there?
I certainly did not.
Because I actually have a little model. I'm an action figure, not a doll, that has a flash bulb for a head.
Okay.
And so I tell everybody, this is what happens if you get between a hot skin and ground, and it goes boof, and everybody's like, ah.
We definitely don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So that's that. So if you have an open ground, you want to be able to shut power off, so you know that you've lost your ground, and that could be from a pedestal that's miswired, a power cord which
happens all the time.
Yep. And then if you have an open neutral, this is another really important one. An open neutral doesn't matter so much, of course, on a 30 amp. But on a 50 amp, it matters a lot because we have 240 volts coming in from what we call single phase, split phase. And that neutral has to divide that equally into 120 and 120 volts. And if the neutral is broken, that white wire is broken anywhere in the system, it no longer divides evenly. So it could be as much as 200 volts on the one side and drop to 40 volts on the other leg. Guess what's going to be on the 200 volt side? The expensive stuff.
There you go.
It'll be your microwave, it'll be your refrigerator, it can be your heater controls, it can be all of this other stuff. And it's like, oh boy. So open neutral is a really, really dangerous thing on 50 amp. But these do something that's really pretty amazing. Do you know what they do?
Are we going to talk about the reverse polarity?
No, I'm going to talk about downstream open neutral protection.
Okay, there you go.
Oh yeah, because and I'll tell you a brief story. When I first started working with Southwire, and they said we've got this downstream open neutral protection, and I said, I called BS on it. I said, no, there's no way you can do it without extra wiring and everything. And they said, we will show you. They flew me down to Florida.
Oh, wow.
Picked me up at the airport, fed me at a really fancy Italian restaurant, and then took me out to the place and showed me their skunk works.
Oh.
And guess what? It works. And then as soon as I saw it, I said, oh, I know how you're doing it right now. Oh, look, I made it up onto the marquee.
Oh, there you go.
And so they were so confident. And then I said, I bow to you guys, because this is just brilliant engineering. So it will not only detect an open neutral in the pedestal and shut off power, it will detect an open neutral down inside your automatic transfer switch, in your cord set, and these other things, and keep you from getting this unbalanced voltage that burns stuff up. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. It really is.
What I always tell everybody is you're going into all this, detailed information about all this. And I said, listen, if it's going over your head and you don't want to think about it, just get the full electrical protection unit, and you don't have to think.
You don't have to think about it. It just works.
Exactly.
It just works, and that's the key to this. Now, I still think everybody should know the basics of electricity.
100%.
And you want to know if you're feeling a shock. Don't keep feeling a shock. Things like that. You can attend my class. I've been doing electricity since I just first discovered it when I was 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
I did. And then when I was 8, I tried to build a perpetual motion machine that made extra power in the basement out of a motor and a generator. And I hooked it into the fuse panel when I was 8 years old.
That's a little more than Legos.
And it did not work. And it blew a bunch of fuses. And my parents came running down the steps and they said, no more experiments with house power.
Can't blame them, Mike.
And my dad was a history teacher. He didn't know anything about electricity. My mom was an emergency room nurse, which was handy to have around.
I would assume so.
Good skill set for people like me. But the key here is that, to me, it's like really, really simple. I try to explain this like I remember when I was 4, 5, 6 years old, and I had that wonder of how it worked. I break it down. If you're a 4-year-old, somewhere between 4 and 140, I think I can explain it to you.
Oh, definitely. And I will say, coming to this show, like for the number of years that I have, and speaking with the people who attend the show, I try and tell anybody who comes by the booth, if you have any kind of questions further than what I can explain, I said, there's a guy up there
who
does seminars,
the guy in the red shirt.
If you got a question, if you have a concern, I said, and if I can't answer it for you, I was like, I know that he at least can. And if he can't answer it, nobody knows it.
Well, if I can't answer it, I've got somebody on speed dial.
There you go.
And I say, I'll have to get back to you because, I know people.
Definitely.
And I do a daily, article series, my RVelectricity.substack.com. I've got guys that are like nuclear engineers that are on this thing, and guys that fly big airplanes for a living. And
wow.
I mean, it's just really, really fun because I can, they ask me questions, I ask them questions, and we both learn.
Love that.
I think. Now, what other stuff can you tell us about this about these?
Well, so one exciting thing is we do have the Bluetooth technology with the full electrical protection units.
Right.
So what that enables a user to do is to be inside, and if you're really into knowing what you're drawing like amp wise,
Right.
what your voltage is at, you can track that on the app, and the app is really simple. User interface is very simple. That's kind of what it looks like there. It just gives you, like, if you have the 50 amp unit, it'll let you know like what your amp draw is on each leg.
Right.
And what's really handy too is instead of having to keep all your paperwork when you buy it, inside that app you have your troubleshooting guides. It has your warranty information, and it also has a fault log. So let's say you're gone from your coach and you come back and you realize, oh, the power went out. It'll let you know your previous 7 faults, what you had come through. So hey, this is the issue, this is the problem. Like, we have a low voltage situation here at this campground, or we have an open ground, open neutral, reverse player, any of them, and it'll let you know what it is.
Okay, so now another thing that you guys may or might not know, I'm sure if we first turn them on, they think they have like an 8-second delay before they come
10
up,
seconds, yep.
something like that. But if there's a dip in the power and it comes back up, there's like a 180-second delay that some people get all pissy about.
Yeah, 128 seconds actually.
Yeah, and the key, of course, is that's for
air conditioner.
You've got to let the 3-on pressure equalize, because if you don't, it just goes and then it'll just trip the breaker.
Yep.
Nobody wants that. So that's what that whole thing is all about. But like I said, the little quickie startup thing, I think you guys
10
added.
seconds.
Yeah, the very first ones that came out still had that long time delay.
Yeah, so and actually our hardwired units, so the same technology that's in the full electrical protection, we have the hardwired units as well. And those hardwired units, obviously no Bluetooth, but the hardwired units still do have that older technology on the inside that we started out with, so that does have the longer startup time. Okay,
so now I've got another question, and I know the answer already. Yeah. So what do lawyers say? Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Thankfully, I haven't had to speak to too many lawyers.
But so here's the deal. Can I hook 2 surge protectors together? If I already have one inside of my vehicle, is it okay to add one on the pedestal?
So are you asking about if you have like a built-in transfer switch with surge protection?
Yes.
I would actually recommend it.
Right. And why is that?
Well, because let's face it, the warranty you're getting from your manufacturer is not the same warranty that we have for the portable surge protectors.
Right.
Because we have that lifetime warranty with connected equipment coverage, meaning that if you have even the entry level unit that we have, if you have that plugged into the pedestal, that's protecting that transfer switch, so it's eliminating any kind of downtime you may have.
And that ATS with all of the surge protection costs $800.
Yes, a lot more expensive.
A lot more expensive.
Plus labor.
Plus labor, plus downtime.
Yep.
And all of the above. You can put $100 one on the pole, and if something hits it, it's going to take the brunt of it, and it will protect the next thing. Who will guard the guards?
Exactly.
And that's what it does. Yeah. And then that's an easy plug in another one and be done with it. There's really no labor involved.
Well, and also what I really like about it is when you pull into a campground, instead of getting everything out and having to pull your extension cords out and hook up, back in and everything, you can take one of those portable ones, go right up into the pedestal,
ride the golf cart over.
Yeah, just check it out before you even pull in.
And if it's telling you something's wrong, I've had some campgrounds say, well, the only people that are complaining about it are the ones that have those stupid surge protectors, right? Yeah. And I'm going, no, something is wrong. Before you accept it, I would say, I need to get the maintenance guy out right now. Definitely. Because what I would see people do is they would go ahead and they would back in, and there's always a lot of cussing involved, backing in, and then they would level the thing, and there's always a lot of sweat leveling the thing. They put their slides out to do all this, and then the last thing they do is they go plug into power, and all of a sudden the power is toast.
Yep.
And then they say, but they don't want to move. They've already invested an hour or more into getting in there. Whereas the portable ones, you can walk in, make sure everything looks okay, and and away you go. So I think it's extremely. I mean, the key for camping, for any of this stuff, is you want to be prepared. And you don't want to work harder than you have to work.
Well, yeah, it's fun. Camping's supposed to be fun.
Camping's supposed to be fun.
It's leisure.
It's supposed to be leisure. And then, I've got guys that are complaining about how awful their camping experiences are. Now, let me tell you about camping experiences that are awful. When we must have been 11 or 12 years old, my dad decided we're going to go camping. Cox pop-up camper behind a Rambler with a push-button automatic transmission. No, this is before the Cox pop-up. The very first one, he got an Army surplus, one of those big green tents. World War II surplus.
Gotcha.
And he said, I've got boys. We can help set this up. And we went out to Assateague Island, all the sand, and set this up on the sand in sleeping bags on the floor.
That's not glamping.
Yeah, no. And then after that, after we all threatened revolt, we were going to leave the family, he got a Cox pop-up camper. That was like heaven, because you flip the thing out. You actually had foam mattresses. They're only about 2 inches thick. Doesn't matter. You were off of the ground.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it got better and better and better, but we never had power.
Oh no.
In any of those things. But he kept working at it. And then finally, years after we grew up, he went and bought one of those high-low campers. So it clamshell down.
Yep.
He took that thing from Maryland out to Alaska twice. And I didn't even know it. He took it into Mexico, where he and Mom bet on the horse races in Mexico. They never told us kids.
Tacos.
They never told us kids.
Wow.
That they were out, living La Vida Loca. Yeah. They both passed away. We didn't know this when Mom passed, and then Dad passed 2 years ago. I'm going through all this stuff. I'm going, why are there racing stubs from Mexico?
Oh my gosh.
In there? And I'm finding receipts from these trips. And they would just say, we'll be gone for a while. Don't bother to call us, kind of a thing. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, that's different times.
It's different times,
Yeah.
different times. But yeah, so and dad had surge protectors on stuff, because I would just make him do stuff, and then we would always test things. But yeah, he got rid of that a while back. He was going to give me that high-low, and I said, Dad, I travel around on tour buses doing rock shows. Why the heck would I want a high-low camper? Now I'm like, you see how much those things go for? Yeah, I could have it was double axle. You could pull it with any kind of pickup truck, because it clamshelled down. It wasn't any higher.
Nothing.
Why in the world would I want one? Now it's like, and it was very 60s
retro.
Very
retro.
It was retro when it was new. It was retro. So what else do we want to talk about on this stuff? What else do we need to know? You guys are you're in Campers Inn right down here.
Yep.
And are there any other products that you guys are highlighting beyond just surge protectors?
Yeah. So, we do offer some portable power stations as well.
Right.
We have a line of them where it goes from 200 watt, 300 watt, 500 watt, and up to the big boy, the 1100 watt unit.
Right.
So it's a lithium-ion portable power station
right.
with a built-in solar controller. And also it's made with pure sine wave technology. So
right.
it can work with sensitive electronics. The reason why Southwire actually came out with this product was for people who have CPAP machines.
Right.
So sleep apnea. So the 500 watt unit on a full charge can go 12 hours. So overnight, even with the heated element.
Right.
So for campers who, are looking to go out dry docking without power, they
right.
now have a solution.
And the 1100 watt one, I have all of them,
Oh yeah.
The 1100 watt one will run a electric hot dog maker. I did a video of it a year or so
That's
ago,
a new one.
where you can put like 6 or 8 hot dogs in the thing, and you close it up and you plug it in, and it makes the hot dogs in 60 seconds.
Oh man.
Very retro.
Well, down in Texas, I've seen a guy take one of those Traeger Rangers, like
right.
the smaller Traegers, and actually smoke a brisket on the.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I do that all the time. You can smoke wings, you smoke briskets.
Oh yeah.
You put in fact, I did a test with that. Basically, even with a 100-watt solar panel, I could cook briskets forever.
That's awesome.
Until I run out of briskets and beer. And I also did this while I was not only running that, I was also running a little one of those a Vitrifrigo refrigerator with the Danfoss compressor and a little 12-volt cooler, as it were.
Yep.
But cooler is not really an accurate name, because this will go down to like 7 degrees below zero. And I had briskets and beer in here, and I'm sitting out there. My wife says, "What are you doing out there on the pad in the back?" I said, "I am doing research."
There you go.
I am doing the beer is cold. I said, just I need some rub for the briskets.
Definitely.
And briskets take like a long time to do. I mean, 6 to 16 hours, depending on what's going on. But I would leave stuff run overnight in the pellet smoker.
Yep.
Just do it low and slow, as my kids say, 225 degrees for as long as you can stand it, right?
Yeah, and if you want to make some quick friends and be invited to some tailgates, have one of those portable power stations is the easy way.
Is the easy way. And you know, some friends of mine that actually do this stuff, and they said, I just got the idea from you that we can do this. And I said, well, yeah, basically, they only draw about 30 or 40 watts when the augers are running.
Yep.
When they first come on, they'll draw couple 300 watts for a minute or two. So they have a little igniter in there to heat it up. But part of this is understanding what things need, how much power that they need. And I can run one of those little portable refrigerators. And I think Truma's got some in here right now that I saw right across from my place. But they're like 40, 50 quarts, whatever kind of a thing. It will, one of the units, your 1100 watt unit, would run that probably for 30 or 40 hours.
Oh, I believe so.
Because I've done this.
Cold,
I've done this, you know, and so you know, this gives you more capabilities when you're camping. Because again, you know, some people say demand. I've got to have a 22 cubic foot residential refrigerator. I'm going, I don't know. You know, you get whatever little one you've got in there, and now you've got your specialty cooler.
Definitely.
It's got the hot dogs, it's got the brisket, you've got beer, you got whatever it is you need, and then you can pull that out, you can plug in, and then you can just hang out.
And you can also plug in fans, you can plug in TV.
Plug in fans, plug in TVs, basically anything you can run from a home outlet, but you have to understand the limitations of the wattage.
Yep.
Do not let your daughter plug her hair dryer into it, because it's going to drain that thing way too fast.
Like making a pot of coffee will too.
Yeah, making a pot of coffee will do it. So I actually did one. So somebody asked me about how much power does it take to make a cappuccino. So and they were bugging me, and I said, well, you know, we're in luck here. My kids just got me you know, an espresso cappuccino maker for Christmas. I went and measured it. I looked at the kilowatt hours needed, and I was doing the proper frothing of the milk.
Of course, yeah. Gotcha.
Once I did that, I found out that would use 5% of the energy of a 100 amp hour lithium battery per cup. So I called that Q's for cappuccino energy units.
Love that.
Okay. I also did one for a woman. The guy's wife is in a, they do make quilts and such. So they have electric sewing machines that they like to take out on picnic tables. And they were looking for how much power does it take to run a sewing machine. So I went back, and my wife used to be, you know, quite the seamstress. We did some testing, and I found out how much energy it would take to make a sock puppet. So I have SPEWs, sock puppet energy units.
This is important information.
This is important information.
Very important.
Because people are going, where do these words come from? I said, the English language is not big enough to encompass my ideas. There's SPEWs and Qs and who else, whatever else we know. But it starts to show you some things will run forever on one of these if you have a panel. Other things are not going to run so long. Sometimes things that are really big don't take much power. So a TV, flat screen TVs don't take much power at all now. But a tiny little hair dryer or a little 1500 watt space heater takes a lot of energy. Anything that heats up stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what's great too is you can use it in emergency situations. Like let's say, you know, you're caught out there and your slides are out.
Right.
And, you know, you need a little bit of power to bring your slides in.
Yes.
You can use that 1100 watt to bring your slides in.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things that are beneficial for this. And okay, so another thing that I've worked on is, and this happened last year. We would see stuff on TV when, remember, in Texas had the big tornado that came through, and I forget which city it was in, but the very first thing it did was blew down the tornado warning siren. And knocked it down.
That seems personal.
So yeah, it seems personal. And so the reporters were in there saying, these guys are going, we need power. And the guys, we don't have any warnings to tell us if the next one's coming. And the reporter's going, well, you know, the warning tower, the warning siren will go off. And they go, there's no siren. There's no nothing. The guys, well, just use your cell phones. It'll tell you. And he goes, we have no power. Our cell phones are going to be dead in a day. And the guy's like, oh, what to do? And my wife goes, why don't you fix this for them? I said, I know how to do this. So I found you can get a block charger that'll charge 10 cell phones or whatever really fast. Yeah. And it has its own 200 and some odd watt power supply. You can plug it into one of your units right there, put a couple of 100 watts of panels out, you can charge a couple 300 cell phones a day.
Oh, wow.
Off of this.
Well, that's something.
And so you just set it out, get a little tent, set it up there, and then people can just come by and stick their phone in there for 30 minutes or whatever it takes. And I said, you can be a true hero in the neighborhood.
No doubt.
And you can run a brisket off of the same thing. And so this is when you make what we call stone soup. You don't know the story of stone soup?
I don't know the story of stone soup.
This is like
Terribly sorry.
Aesop's fables kind of stuff. So basically the idea here is guy comes into the town and said, you know, I'm going to make the best soup ever. And I've just got these 4 smooth stones. Get some water boiling. And they're telling me, you're just a stupid salesman. What do you know? And he says, you know, this is going to be pretty good. But man, if somebody had some potatoes, and the people say, somebody says, I got potatoes. And they cut them up and they put them in there. And somebody else says, well, I've got, he says, man, if we only had some carrots. And so basically everybody combined their resources. And guess what? At the end of the day, they had a fabulous soup. So this is part of the lesson of when you're in an emergency situation like this, you share with your neighbors. You get your neighbors to share with you. All you've got to be is the guy to put all this stuff together and say, hey, we need this. And guess what? All your refrigerators are going to go out and it's all going to be melting in a day or two. Bring in whatever you've got. You have a block party.
Yeah,
you charge phones and you have stone soup.
Yeah, for sure. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else we need to know?
You know, I don't believe so. I mean, you know, between everything we have at the booth and, you know, just talking basics here of surge protection, it's very important to have. And, you know, with the warranty that Southwire offers, you know, we really put our money where our mouth is. So.
And I'm going to see if I can play a little music track coming out of this. Let's see if I can do this.
Got a little something going on.
Got to have a little. And I got sound effects. What can I do? Okay, I'm Mike Sokol from RVelectricity and
Johnny Singleton from Southwire.
And thank you very much for attending our little thing. We're just doing a little experiment here. This is not a real RV behind us if you guys haven't figured this out. But thank you very much for watching. Send this around to everybody. And I'm doing another one tomorrow. What the heck am I doing tomorrow? Lithium, solar panels, and all that other kind of stuff.
That sounds fun.
So it'll be a lot of fun from the guys at Renogy. All right, very good. Thank you very much. And talk to you later. Bye. Yep.